what is regional comprehensive economic partnership? What does it mean by that? And see, this is very important question, and how it is impacting Indo-Chinese relation. What is options of India? So we have to discuss the various points in RCP. See, RCP is, it means regional comprehensive economic partnership. And comprehensive, see, it is an extended form of FTA. FTA, there is a free trade of goods between the nations. It may be in group 2, and later that can be extended in service and agriculture too. And it's comprehensive means more important than FTA. Why more important than FTA? Because comprehensive means the trade agreement. Free trade is a part of comprehensive, but in addition to free trade, there may be agreement over the investment too. There may be agreement over the movement of labor too. There may be agreement over the environmental norms too. So various parts included apart from FTA, then it becomes a regional comprehensive economic partnership. But our concern is not of economy, but of politics. RCEP is comprised of 15 nations, 15 members of RCEP. That 15 nations include 10 members from ASEAN, including Indonesia, Malaysia, Thailand, Singapore, Vietnam, Laos, Brunei, Philippines, Cambodia, also Myanmar. So these are 10 nations. And see, in 1997, there was one initiative, ASEAN plus 3. Because of there was economic crisis in ASEAN. ASEAN was formed in way back in 1967. But there was a crisis in ASEAN in 97. Because of that crisis, ASEAN plus 3 was formed. And plus 3 comprised of China and Japan plus South Korea. And look, all the nations are industrial powerhouse. And look the geo-economy. Therefore, ASEAN plus 3 is the concept. It is started since 1997, when the ASEAN economies were facing the economic crisis, and these 3 nations assisted ASEAN. And therefore, ASEAN nations have a greater trade with these nations. Greater trade with these nations. And apart from that, there is 2 other nations in the east, and they are in fact Australia and New Zealand. Apart from ASEAN plus 3, 2 other nations, that is Australia and New Zealand. Australia and New Zealand, it means they are 10, 13 plus 2, 15. These are 50 nations. They are part of RCEP. And very interestingly, RCEP earlier, they have also included India too, but probably, and because of a few reasons, India opted out of RCEP. Now RCEP is one of the largest trading associations in the world, and they're very significant. 30% GDP of the world, it is more 2.3 billion people. And had India been the part of RCEP, look, entire balance would have been tilted towards Asia Pacific. And this is reason why we time and again emphasize that Asia Pacific is very important emerging center of the world. But second, what is significant feature? First, because earlier one of the historian, Neil Ferguson, and General Secretary of UN, Guterres, says that we are facing new Cold War. And why he said new Cold War? Because of ongoing conflict between China and US. But is it Cold War? See, Secretary General says that Cold War. Neil Ferguson says that Cold War, but we are visualizing entirely different picture. Is it a Cold War? Because Cold War was only cold in the days of Cold War, world was divided into opposite camp. And they were hostile with each other. And you can't imagine any kind of trade partnership between 2 hostile camps. And very importantly, you can find out that, look, first, US is not part of RCEP, and that is very significant since Trump adopted the principle of nationalism. And Trump is very soon likely to demit the office of US, and Biden is likely to overtake the Trump. But Trump adopted nationalism, protectionism, and that is very important. United States will adopt the nationalism and protectionism. That is a eye opener. That is a beyond imagination. And because US is a nation which set up the world order, and therefore US set up the world order after First World War, after Second World War, and it is US is champion of liberalization, US champion of globalization. Although Biden says that while he will take over the president of US after 20 January, he will again adopt the globalist approach of US. But it is yet to be seen. But very contrast example is that US is not part of RCEP. Instead, US adopted nationalism, protectionism, and on the opposite, China is leading the liberalization. Look, China is leading the liberalization, and China is leading the globalization. And this again proves that China is very firm to surpass the United States of America. China want to surpass the United States of America, and in case of success of RCEP, the goal of China will become more closer to China. And that's really, that is some contrast that is astonishing, because China is socialist nation. People say China is socialist nation, and China is becoming the champion of globalization. Because what is globalization? Globalization, in fact, promote free trade in the world, a world without border. And what does it mean? The abolishing of borders, free trade in the entire world. And how China is leading the world. And more interesting fact, you will find out that why I'm saying that this world can't be categorized as a phase of a new Cold War. Why it said that? Because if you look at the RCEP, you will find out that the most important strategic partner of US, if you want to name the most important strategic partner of US, who are they? They are undoubtedly Japan, South Korea, Australia, New Zealand. Australia, New Zealand. Isn't it surprising? The most important strategic ally of US are Japan, South Korea, Australia, and New Zealand. And oh my God, look the contrast. United States, in fact, provide the security for these nations. United States provides security for these nations, and these nations, Japan and Australia, India, and US, they are part of Quad too. Isn't the contrast? They are for them, for they considered China is the most important economic partner. And how we can say it is a world the full of Cold War. It means now they are accepting that China is have more promising economic future than US or Uncle Sam. Isn't it that it is alarming bell for US? It is how China's want to control our entire world. And that is we are looking that Chinese dream is likely to come true. That is equation what we are witnessing today, and that is very contrast, that is very complex, and this also tells us a lesson. See, India is relying over Quad. India is strengthening her partnership with United States of America. And is it a fine? It is reasonable to adopt an anti-China approach on the name of United States of America in a world where US is likely to marginalize and China is ascending. And my dear friend, most important thing is that see, US has left out TPP, Trans-Pacific Partner. See, US let TPP is abolished. That is demolished by Trump. Trump says that no, we need TPP. Trump says that TPP is a very much disadvantageous for United States of America. TPP is comprised of, if you look the fact of TPP, Trans-Pacific Partnership. Now it is no longer, because Trans-Pacific Partnership is led by United States of America, and RCEP is led by China. Apart from that, See, in TPP, there is a Canada, but in TPP, there is no presence of China. China was not there in TPP, but three nations from Latin America, Mexico, Peru, and Chile. Mexico is there in North America, and Peru, Chile. You can see the world, how the smaller nations are becoming champion in free trade. This is something very sensitive for a country like India. This is very sensitive for a country like India, the how world is changing very fastly. And therefore, Japan and Vietnam, Brunei, Singapore, these all nations from ASEAN. See, they are all from ASEAN, TPP, and Japan is very close economic partner for US and member of G7 too. And Australia, New Zealand, they are strategically and economically, although strategically they are closer to US, economically they are closer to China. So that is therefore this was the membership of TPP. This was the membership of TPP, but TPP was now, it is abandoned and RCEP came into existence. This shows that this world is very complicated. So we can't believe that we have to only rely over the United States of America, or it is Quad. Or it is Quad. Then why India? And very interestingly, India was neither in TPP nor in RCEP. So next point, why India was not part of RCEP first. It is not only RCEP changing and rising importance of China. It is not only RCEP, it is emergence of Asia Pacific. Then let's see, particularly India and RCEP. As far India and RCEP is concerned, so first question is that why India did not join? Why India did not join? And second, what is challenges for India? And third, always tell the options. What is the constructive? What is future options for India? Because merely sitting alone is not an option in this world. We can't adopt the escapist tendency, and we can, because what is option? Either we are part of system, either we can establish a parallel system, either we can escape from system. Escaping is not an option in this world, because where we will go? And second, as of now, India is unable to establish her own parallel system. Then options very limited. And therefore, what is the problem? What is the problem? Why India did not join the RCEP? A reason is very simple. Since India is facing a huge trade deficit with China, India is already witnessing the huge trade deficit with India and China. Therefore, accepting RCEP means we are permitting the Chinese flow of goods in India. And it is when India becomes the part of RCEP, there is no need of a separate free trade agreement with China. Therefore, India's trade deficit will become problem for India, and that will somehow destroy the Indian manufacturing industries, and that is a crucial problem for India. And you look, it is not problem for India, but there may be numerous problem like, see, ASEAN. India is also witnessing a kind of trade deficit with ASEAN. And people say that why we are witnessing trade deficit with ASEAN, it is also because of China. Why? Because China and ASEAN, they are entered into free trade agreement. India and ASEAN are the part of free trade agreement. Therefore, the exported goods of China, they come in India through ASEAN. So naturally, we are affected. Therefore, India time and again emphasize over the principle of rule of origin. Rule of origin simply means if something is manufactured in China, therefore it can't be transported in India through Southeast Asia. And this is reason. The particular reason is China. Even why we are facing the trade deficit with ASEAN, it is major reason of China. So China is major reason of that, and people also, although we are having some concern with each and every nation, there may be some problem with Australia too, some problem with, we are not saying that we don't have any problem with any nation, but as far as China is concerned, that is the biggest problem. And more importantly, all the argument of China is not only associated with trade only. And we can't deny that because we have abandoned the policy of delinking. Therefore, we are saying that until unless China's behavior is very aggressive toward border, if China is very aggressive toward border, therefore, why India should provide any trade concession to China? Therefore, somehow, because if we are finding out only economic reason, then we are not a student of international politics. If we are a student of international politics, then we have to accept the fact that Chinese behavior, expansionist, aggressive behavior over border, therefore we can't see in isolation. And in 1998, the policy which we have adopted, that is the policy of delinking with China, that now we have abandoned. And we have firmly said that until unless China is not adopting the soft behavior on the border, accommodative behavior on the border, therefore normal economic and trade relation is not the priority for India. Therefore, India is emphasizing over vocal for local, emphasizing over Make in India program. Although it may take a long time, but as of now, this is reason why we did not join. Primary reason is that. Second, and see what is challenge. Challenge is very important because India has already entered into free trade agreement FTA with. India has already entered into FTA with ASEAN, FTA with Japan, FTA with South Korea. Even now, Japan, India has signed a comprehensive economic partnership with South Korea and Japan. It is not only FTA, it is extended form of FTA. The challenge is very simple. And why challenge is there? Because if India had joined FTA with ASEAN, Japan, and South Korea, and they are all part of RCEP, therefore, how we will restrict the goods which are coming from these countries by China? Because now the nature of entire production manufacturing has been changing, because some nations are getting various things from various nations and they are assembling in that nation, and that is the crucial point. So this is first challenge, but the later challenge is that, look, time and again we have emphasized that India is a major power, but can you imagine that we can claim a status of major power only on the basis of a military strength? No. And very interesting is that India is not a member of APEC. Although APEC, Asian Pacific Economic Cooperation, that is a APEC, Asian Pacific Economic Cooperation. So that is APEC. And very interestingly, APEC was formed way back in 1989. Although India at that time, facing the economic crisis, India did not adopt liberalization at that time. Although after 91, when India went for liberalization, globalization, then being a major power, India always looking for a membership in APEC, because APEC is comprised of 21 nations from Asia and Pacific, and APEC include all the members from RCEP. Although APEC include United States of America too, APEC includes US too, and therefore India is not part of APEC. Once India is not part of APEC, India is not part of ASEAN plus 3, and India is not joining RCEP, isn't the fact that we are becoming the isolationist? And this is challenge for India, how we can keep ourselves isolated from the rest of the world, because this is world becoming very interdependent with each other, too much integrated with each other. And these are two regional economic pact in the region where India is locating, and India is the 5th largest economy in the world. And can you believe that in RCEP, when there is a Vietnam, the smaller country like Brunei, they are the part of RCEP, and we are very much fearing with RCEP. So that is the reason. And what is challenge for India? This is the greater challenge, how we can consider ourselves a major power. Being a major power, this is challenge for India, that how we can become escapist. No, escapism is not an option. Isolation is not an option. That is challenge. But next, what is option for India? And always remember, as far as in foreign policy is concerned, we always support the stand-up government. Always remember, because criticizing government is very easier. But in as far as foreign policy is concerned, because whenever government take any decision on the basis of pro and cons, government have a numerous fact which we do not know because of the we are not part of government. And it is people who are the policy maker. They are very much aware about the intelligence too. They are very much aware about the tactics of nation state too. Therefore, by and large, we are supposed to support the stand-up government. And look, not joining any grouping is a negative, and we must have a constructive. And therefore, in foreign policy, we should be more constructive. And this is true for India too. See, on the one hand, true that we are not joining RCEP because of the problem. And see, not joining RCEP is a problem. Joining RCEP is a problem. Therefore, what is less problem? Not joining rather than joining. Because this life is full of challenges. International politics is full of challenges, and therefore marrying is a problem, not marrying is a problem. And it depends upon you that what problem you want to choose. And choose what is a less problem. What is less problematic, it depends upon you. Similarly, what is option? So look, India's considering would be positive option, constructive option. And what is option? We don't have any problem with free trade first. We don't have any problem with RCEP second. We have problem with China. And therefore, what should be India's option? We must focus over free trade agreement with US, because we don't have problem, because we are registering surplus as far as trade between India and US is concerned. India is receiving almost $24 billion trade surplus with US, and therefore India and US economies, they are complementary, they are not competitive. There's two types of economy. One is the complementary, second is competitive. It means the items and product which exported by US, it is not exported by India. Therefore, it is better to come together. And look, India and European Union, this is the right time to conclude the free trade agreement with these major partners, where we are sharing not only economic interest but strategic interest too. And unfortunately, there is ongoing free trade talk between India and European Union from a decade back, but it is not finalized yet. It is appropriate time to finalize a free trade agreement with European Union, and it is the right time to finalize free trade agreement with United States of America too. And apart from that, time and again, government is also working over that. We are very much committed for the reforming the labor laws, and see, land acquisition laws. Therefore, it means ease of doing business. Ease in doing business is our priority. So India is on the one hand adopting, see, manufacturing sector, make in India, and ease in doing business. Ease in doing business, that is a priority of the government, because see, why Vietnam is successfully attracting more industries which is dislocating from China. It is because of Vietnam successfully reformed their economy. Therefore, it is a need of internal reform in India. And apart from that, we should emphasize more trade pact with Africa, and very interestingly, Gulf nations. West Asia is becoming a promising region for trade of India. Therefore, we can consider a kind of FTA with West Asia too, Saudi Arabia too, United Arab Emirates too. So we are having the multiple options in this world. This world is full of options, and as of now, you might have heard the fact that now we are strengthening our partnership. West Asia, Gulf countries are there, and now Saudi Arabia is becoming third largest trading partner of India, and UAE become third, and Saudi Arabia become fourth. So now our West Asian policy is there. Africa is a market which is uncharted territory. So therefore, there is no need to worry about. But the first and foremost is strengthen India, and always you know that there is some difficulty while moving a chart of development in a democracy. Because since India is having democratic form of government too, and very large and diverse country, this is the reason we face numerous problem. But we can, we have to finish our entire topic with a positive note. By that, we are finishing this section of India China.